Welcome back from the rest hold, everybody. It's time for us to start getting into the Hall of Fame discussion, and the first one we're going to talk about is Wrestling with the Past, the WWE Hall of Fame. We're going to talk a little bit about this year's class, and we're going to kind of go back in the past a little bit, talk about some people that have been inducted in the past before, some people that should be, some people that might not have been really worthy of being in the Hall of Fame, whatever the case may be. Just kind of keep this as like wide variety of that we could possibly talk about as possible. But the first thing I think that we should be talking about is the people that are already going to be inducted for this year's Hall of Fame. And we don't know every single person yet because there still is a 2-week period where they can announce at least one, if not two more people. And I want to start off with those two possibilities that we've been hearing rumblings about. Most likely the two people that could be added this year that haven't been announced yet are Stan Hansen and Regis Philbin. So, what do you guys think of Regis and Stan Hansen going in there?
Well,
quite a bit, apparently.
Stan Hansen, quite the guy, and with Regis, I don't remember what he did with WWE.
He was he was announcer for one of the WrestleManias, one of the first couple, right?
Philbin hasn't done like an insane amount, but he's done a little bit here and there.
WrestleMania 7, yeah, I just looked it up. WrestleMania 7, he was an announcer.
Guest host.
Yeah, I think he did that too. It's just, I mean, the celebrity wing is something that you don't have to do much to be able to get in.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, Floyd Mayweather's retired. Just saying. Give him 20 years, he might only cost $5 at that point. But with Regis, if he does end up going in, I'll give him a thumbs up. I've always liked the guy, always liked the shows he's done, but he probably could have got a few other people to take that spot. I bet Maria Menounos, some people who talk about, she probably will still do a few more things before they induct her. So
I know Bob Barker's still alive. Why don't you get him in there while he's still alive? He's 92.
Isn't he in there?
I don't think. Is he?
I don't know.
Actually, no, he might not be.
Bob Uecker is.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of Bob Uecker.
Yeah, I might be mixing those two up. I don't see Bob Barker on the list here. So he's another one that could be possibly added into the Hall of Fame in the future.
And hell, Betty White, if we're talking about people who are old as shit.
Well, if I'm thinking of people that haven't been inducted into the celebrity wing yet, Regis Philbin's not the first guy I would go with. I would probably go with Andy Kaufman. Now, I know he's not WWE specific, but they've inducted people in the past that haven't had anything to do with WWE, like AWA people and New Japan people and whatever like that. And Kaufman, sure, you don't have him being able to make an appearance, but Jerry Lawler can do the honors. He's the dude who's got the most connection to it. Or if you want to add a lot of like celebrity talent to the mix, shit, have Jim Carrey come out and do something with the induction if you can.
Oh, I hadn't considered that. Yeah.
He wouldn't do it because he hated doing that role.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought he would have loved that.
Mm-mm. No, it's one of the least favorite roles he ever did.
Damn, that's a shame. He was good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was like as awesome as you could possibly imagine. And then, you know what? Instead, have, what's that guy's name? Have Paul Giamatti come out as Tony Clifton. He could do the induction.
There you go. Tony Clifton or Cliff Clifton.
Cliff Clapton could do it too. Might have to get him on the case. Cyndi Lauper is one that really, if you're going to talk about celebrity inductions, she's got to go in at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised she's not already in there.
Does she have any kind of beef with WWE?
She did for a little bit.
She came back somewhat recently, though. They did that whole thing with Heath Slater.
Raw 1000.
That was like basically when they finally made up.
Okay.
That's why there was a long time before that where she was kind of on rocky ground. I don't even remember when it was over.
On rock and wrestling ground.
Maybe she's just hiding under a rock or something. They just can't get a hold of her.
Well, one downside is that they are kind of out of options when it comes to inducting her, because Captain Lou Albano's gone, Roddy Piper's gone, and Hulk Hogan's not a part of the company anymore.
Dude, it's freaking Cyndi Lauper. You could just have someone like, oh, I used to love listening to her on prom.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going for like the best possible options, two of them are already done. You only have Hulk Hogan if he makes up with the company, and Wendy Richter. Which Wendy Richter would work, but that kind of cuts into it a little bit. I think that they might have been interested in maybe bringing her aboard this year for
what about
one
like a
of the
Mean
Hogan thing.
Gene?
Maybe, yeah, that makes sense.
You could just have any of the divas do it. Any of the
Yeah,
divas, or Stephanie, and go with the girls just want to have fun angle.
There is a ton of options to induct Cyndi Lauper.
Well, no matter what, anybody can be inducted into the Hall of Fame and just have anybody kind of do it.
No, but these are people that there is a connection and it makes sense. It's not like you're grabbing like, I don't know, Coco Beware to do it. I guess you could even do Coco Beware.
I mean, I'd watch it.
That's my go-to guy, by the way. If I ever think of anybody that probably shouldn't have been in the Hall of Fame yet, it's Coco Beware.
And I don't get that.
I
What
just
do
don't
Coco
see
Beware
him-
so much for.
I don't see him being that great. Like, there's so many people that were just
really?
on-
Well, yeah, okay. Let's just build a monument to Tatsumi Fujinami.
Well, I'm not saying that he's really the top of the line either. But no, like, it bugs me when I see so many people that aren't in the Hall of Fame yet that could have gone in beforehand, and then somebody like a Coco Beware, and it's just like, dude, really?
Well, here's what you got to keep in mind. This isn't like a sports Hall of Fame. This is the WWE Hall of Fame. And if you did something that didn't get yourself in the good graces anymore, or where you're not someone who's going to help make some money through this whole ceremony, then you're probably not going to go in. And that's just the facts of it.
But yeah, I mean, there's still other people that didn't piss people off that should have gone in, I think, ahead of time. It's different if you're saying, like, well, Jim Cornette should have gone in. You know what? He's pissed off a lot of people. It's going to be a long time, if ever.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't know. Coco Beware to me, he seems like the type of guy that they could have gotten around to 20 years from now, and it would have been still kind of like, oh, really, Coco? You know?
I don't know, the way those 80s guys were dropping like flies. Probably get as many of them in as you can.
Like, I would have thrown in somebody like a Rick Martel over him, even. Or like King Kong Bundy.
I think Bundy is on rocky terms with WWE.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe not him then. Maybe, yeah. I don't know, like, there's plenty of people. I mean, we've talked about before, Bam Bam Bigelow should have gotten in at some point. He will eventually,
but he's
for
dead.
sure.
Dying is another thing that can kind of exclude you a little bit longer than maybe you deserve. Unless, you die while the Hall of Fame existed, then you might get put in right away.
Well, speaking of that, we do have our posthumous induction for this year is Big Boss Man. We talked about him a little bit before, but if there's any opinions you guys have about Big Boss Man going in that we haven't said before, you just want to backtrack a little bit too. What do you think about Ray Traylor going in there? This is somebody who he makes sense to go into the Hall of Fame this year, or just in general, or any positives, negatives, anything like that?
I mean, this is one that he could have gone in any time. He's no longer with us, and he is iconic. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to discredit that at all, but I don't think that he necessarily needed to go in this year. Eventually, yes, but honestly, I rather would have seen Davey Boy Smith go in this year. I think he's overdue.
All right, well, I'm gonna tell you two things. One is you don't want to wait too long to put him in because he's someone that I could see people forgetting about in probably not too many more years. Where he's going to be kind of like out of any kind of conscious relevancy. As far as British Bulldog going in, there's more and more evidence showing that we might have a WrestleMania going to London, in which case that's when Bulldog goes in.
That would be appropriate.
That, or they save him and they package him up with a couple other people. I could see them doing a Heart Foundation one.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of just having...
If they go to Canada.
Yeah, having like Owen, Bulldog, Brian Pillman, and Jim Neidhart. Maybe even some others too. Like Bruce or whatever, if they really wanted to.
They'll put in Helen.
Like, they could possibly just kind of throw a whole bunch of people out there, and they could have Brett and Natalia and Tyson Kidd and Jim Neidhart be like the main people that are actually kind of like accepting things on the behalf of everybody. But that could be a way for them to do that where they don't have to draw attention to how both Owen and Bulldog and Brian Pillman, if he's a part of it, how they're all already passed on. Because it's kind of a downer a little bit, when you get to the Hall of Fame and it's like, let's talk about all the great things that these guys have done, but they died, and it's like, oh man, it sucks that they died, So I could see them wanting to kind of just go and sweep that a little bit under the rug and kind of make it a little bit happier of a situation. Plus, we have more than enough people that can go into the Hall of Fame for the next, bunch of years. And the more time that goes on, the more the people that are wrestling now are going to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. But we have people like IRS that haven't gone in there yet. We've got really old people. Like Ivan Koloff hasn't gone in yet. Future people like Mark Henry are going to go in the future. And, there's so many people. So there's no like lack of people to go, well, you got to separate them and save all these inductions. They could do Owen and Bulldog together.
Is Dean Malenko in there?
I don't think so.
Put him in there.
He'll be in there eventually. Fit Finley will be in there too. Oh, there's like, I don't know about Kidman. I was just going to say all those guys that are working as trainers. But New Age Outlaws will go in eventually. And, as far as like Big Boss Man goes, I think that you're kind of right here where like if you wait a little bit too long, people might just kind of be like, wait, who? And then he becomes one of those like the old guys that nobody remembers. Actually, you know what? Harley Race isn't in, is he?
Yeah, he is. He was like one of the first inductees. I think he went in 2005, actually.
Really?
2004. Yep.
Huh.
Inducted by Ric Flair.
I like, where's that idea? We're like one of those older guys that they can kind of keep around. What do you guys think about Honky Tonk Man? Should he go in?
Well, he's the longest reigning Intercontinental Championship.
Not just the longest reigning, but the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Of course he should go in.
Even with his beef?
It's his has one of those things that'll get made up for over time. Like, very few beefs actually stay with WWE forever. And he's cousins with Jerry Lawler, so he's got his in. Whenever he wants to make up, it'll get done.
What about, speaking of beef, Brutus the Barber Beefcake?
As soon as Hogan makes up. I guarantee you. As soon as they're back in each other's good graces, the next year.
Really? That fast? I can see them waiting.
Fast, but it'll happen.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm looking at a list that I had written down before of like non-wrestlers that I thought were people that should go in. I'm surprised Jack Tunney hasn't.
They don't have much respect for the older on-screen talent.
It's kind of a shame, though, because that was like the face of the company for a lot of people. That was the president of the WWF, you know? I miss that guy a little bit. I don't think he would really be that great nowadays, but at the same time, it's like, that's nostalgic.
I mean, you think about how long it took for, like, Gordon Solie to go in.
Mm.
And, like, how many commentators have gone in? You got Ross and King. But, I mean, they were so iconic for that current era, they had to.
Lord Alfred Hayes has to go in.
Yeah, I mean, that's something like guys like Lord Alfred Hayes,
Jim Johnston.
Jim Johnson, of course.
That one's like ridiculous that they haven't put that dude in there yet.
So some referees would be nice to put in there. Put in like Earl Hebner, Charles Robinson someday.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Chioda.
Chioda and Robinson, I could see them going in there.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Long for sure has to.
Oh fuck yeah, Teddy Long.
Not only for his referee kind of things, but as he's been the longest running general manager out of like fucking everybody.
And he was a manager before that. He managed Doom.
Yeah.
He was the manager of Doom.
Paul Heyman's another guy, but they can wait a little bit for when it comes to him because he's still kind of like active. What do you guys think about Tony Schiavone? Or Schiavone?
Schiavone.
Shivani? Is that what you're trying to say?
What did I just say? I don't know. I botched
First
the
you
hell
said
out.
Schiavone.
Should I say?
Then you said Siobhan.
I said Siobhan.
God damn it, Tony.
That's what happens when you're reading a bunch of things at the same time.
Skivone? Who's this guy?
Tony Schiavone.
Fucking WAP guy.
Tony Schiavone. What do you guys think about him?
Schiavone.
He's another guy who's badly spoken out about WWE before, so he's kind of probably not in their best graces, but whenever they feel like they want to do another big WCW throwback year, I'm sure they could call him in and put it together, no problem. It wouldn't offend me too much. Especially if he has a mustache.
If they do a WCW year, he's got to be in there, and so does Lex Luger. They're like two go-to WCW guys, I think. Sting would have been, but they're bringing him in this year.
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about Sting, because we talked about him a while back, and our opinions might have changed or like that. Headliner for this year, main person. He might not be wrestling anymore, so it's a little bit weird to me, at the very least, that he's going in Texas. But it's not like you have to do things based off of the area, so...
They totally should have done him in Florida.
Yeah.
How fucking hilarious would that have been? Like, especially if it was, like, in Universal Studios. Like, if they actually have that Hall of Fame there now.
And it's like, wow, this guy made a lot of impact. Sting, of course, totally worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. Anybody have any, like, gripes or anything that they really want to talk about memories when it comes to Sting?
It's a certain stigmata to him.
Stigmata.
Remember that great match he had with Jeff Hardy?
Which one? It's more than one, dude.
Yeah, there was Jeff Hardy threw his shirt and it didn't make it outside the ring.
I don't know. I feel like that might have happened more than once with those two.
That is easily one of the worst moments in, like, pro wrestling history.
Tony, why? Are you
I
talking
mean,
about
like,
worse?
under people, like, dying.
Right.
Like, I think that might be up there.
That's got to be out there, like, one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened to somebody in the ring.
Well, I don't know if it's that or just when he goes to each corner post, gets on the ropes, and goes, "Ah, no, I'm not gonna throw it to you." Then when he finally throws it, it goes like 5 inches outside the ring. I think that's more embarrassing than the match itself.
Like, shouldn't that have been the year that Sting left and went to WWE?
That should have been the night. Like, he should have walked back, handed the title to whoever was sitting there in Gorilla, and just walked out.
And I'm assuming why he didn't do that was because he was like, oh, well, you know what? I don't want to be leaving them without 2 different people, and, I'm mad at Jeff, not mad at them, but he should have been mad at them, too, because they shouldn't have let Jeff fucking do it.
There. Like, if there's one bad thing I can say about Sting is he has not been smart in choosing what to do with his career. And he's always been kind of a pushover like that. Like, he's basically like if Daniel Bryan had a nicer body.
And, maybe it was a little bit more charismatic.
Yeah, okay, I'll give him that. Like, especially during his earlier days, Sting was very, very charismatic.
I don't know. Whenever people talk about Sting, he's just quiet, and I don't know. Maybe he just got scared at one point. He said he was a pushover. I mean, that's just why he just didn't talk and left.
Maybe. What's your favorite incarnation of Sting, by the way, everybody?
Oh, Crow Sting, of course. The original Crow Sting.
I was just going to say Crow Sting from
yeah.
WCW or TNA or WWE.
Well, no, I mean, TNA had, like, Joker Sting.
That was so stupid.
That was so weird. Yeah.
I thought the face paint was cool.
It would have been if it wouldn't have been clearly just him trying to do the Joker.
I guess.
Which it's, like, funny to think if he would have saw, like, a different comic book movie and would have been like, I got a great idea for my new character. I want to be Sinestro Sting or something.
You want to know
instead of
my,
the Joker.
The worst Sting or incarnation of Sting is, hey, I'm going to show up at Survivor Series 2014 with not even paint covering my whole face. Because that was kind of bad.
I don't know. I don't like the old type of Sting from, what was it, the Blade Runners?
Oh, you don't like Surfer Sting?
Oh, yeah.
Not a big fan of the whole Blade Runner thing. Surfer Sting, yeah. Surfer Sting's sort of like, it's like a love-hate thing. Like, if he were out there now, I wouldn't like him, but back in the day, then he was cool. But Crow Sting was the coolest. Although it was a little bit weird when he joined Wolfpack. He had that red face. I wasn't thinking that all that much.
I just wish he would have had more of a career, because he took way too long to join up with WWE. And then he got here and has, he had like 3 matches? Or
2.
something that got entered, 2 or 3 matches. Well, he had 2 pay-per-view matches and then
The Raw one.
one on Raw, right?
Oh,
he had like
yeah.
a tag match on Raw or something. Wow, that's so disappointing, because I was hoping that he was kind of going to do the Undertaker route, wrestle once or twice a year for the next couple of years.
Well, we don't know if that's true yet. He has never really officially retired. They're just inducting him into the Hall of Fame.
That's true, but I don't know.
Remember, back in 2011, he was going to join a Hall of Fame and then wrestle The Undertaker.
I think he'll be back.
He's going to wrestle one more match. You don't bring him in the WWE to not have that Undertaker match. So they might not do it at WrestleMania, but don't be surprised if we get to SummerSlam, those two have a match. Undertaker wrestles more nowadays compared to what he did a few years ago. I guarantee you there's only a few more matches you could do with Taker.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be one of them.
I would bet
so.
that if there's anything that we can go into next year's WrestleMania and say is a 75% possibility, Undertaker's fighting either John Cena or Sting.
Yeah.
It all depends on how Sting's recovery goes. And he might not wrestle again. He might be done. And they might just not want to actually announce it. But if they get him to the point where he actually can wrestle again, they can't just ignore that match. That would just piss everybody off.
You know what would be really shitty? What if they do the thing where they're like, oh man, you know how we talked about Undertaker versus Sting for all these years? That's like the franchise versus franchise players. We're going to give it to you. And a WWE 2K18 simulation.
Yeah, something like that.
No, they're just taking the Rocky 6 or Rocky Balboa storyline.
Ugh. Or it'll be like, you guys have wanted two icons to face off for all these years, Undertaker and Sting. Well, the franchise is going to fight that other franchise player. Sting versus John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
And Undertaker's going to fight, I don't know, fucking Bray Wyatt again or something.
You know, I wanted to complain with Sting versus Cena. That'd be an interesting match.
It still is disappointing, though, that guy didn't come to WWE earlier. And he would have had such a good pool of people to fight. Him against The Rock. Him against Shawn Michaels. Kurt Angle, when they both were around in WWE at the time. Brock Lesnar would have been a good match for that. That's such a shame. That just goes to show you, if you have a chance to go to WWE, just fucking do it. You can leave eventually, you know?
Well, what kind of contract were they even offering Sting at that time?
Probably a pretty decent one.
You know, maybe it was a situation they might have lowballed him on what they thought his appeal was. Maybe they didn't offer him
One
as
thing
good
to
as
keep
contract.
in mind, when WCW went out of business, a lot of people still had guaranteed contracts that were tied to Turner Entertainment that they were still collecting on. The only way the WWE would be able to bring them in was if they bought out the rest of those contracts, which was very, very costly, which is why they didn't have a lot of those stars for the initial invasion angle. They waited until they wanted to pay for them, which they ended up doing like a year later anyway, so I don't know why they just didn't do it at the time.
Yeah.
But like when they brought in the NWO, when they brought in Goldberg, when they brought in Flair, that was all, they had to buy out those contracts to get those.
Well, maybe they wouldn't have done that if they wouldn't have seen that people really, really needed them, you know?
Yeah.
All depends. I think they were putting a lot on Booker T at the time.
Hopefully sometime soon, Sting gets on a podcast and he'll give like a definite answer why he never went to WWE sooner.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the big questions people don't know. Eventually we'll find out. As hopefully he doesn't die before then. That would be terrible.
Ugh.
But
That's the last thing we need.
yeah, exactly. But hopefully he wrestles again. There's still a few matches you could do with him. And yeah, we just need to know why you didn't fucking come to WWE so we can see this John Cena match that I want to see now.
Well, what do you guys think about the newest inductee, Jacqueline Moore? So we didn't talk about her as like her own hot tag kind of thing. When it comes to the women that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, there's a wide variety. I mean, we got like somebody like a Fabulous Moolah, which was like, of course she's going to go in the Hall of Fame. Mae Young, of course, you know. Alundra Blaze makes perfect sense. But there's a lot of people that still could have been picked over Jacqueline, yet they're all kind of in the same boat. Like Ivory, well, which one's going to be above the other one, Jacqueline or Ivory? They both were in the same range. Molly Holly's another one that's like, yeah, she'll go in eventually, but did she need to go in this year or whatever? I got to assume this is because it's in Texas, right?
Yeah, it's got to be.
That's what I was thinking. As soon as they announced that it was going to be in Texas,
It was a cheap
rumors start going around that it was going to be Jackie. So
Mm. Now, I had posted an article before on eWrestling News about a bunch of different people that I thought should be inducted in the future. And one of them was specifically about different women that are on the list or whatever. Two people that I had put on my list that people seemed to be kind of like, wait, what do you mean by these people? Were Mickie James and Stacy Keibler. They had a little bit of a problem that I brought them up. What do you guys think about those two eventually going in the Hall of Fame?
With Stacy Keibler, I could definitely see at some point. Was the other one Tori Wilson?
Well, Tori makes sense to me too, but it was Mickey James.
James, okay. Well, I think they want to knock out all these Attitude Era people first. So actually, a name Sable is another one that is in the Hall of Fame yet.
Yeah.
You think that she would have possibly go in? She'll probably go in soon since Lesnar's still in the company. I bet she'll go in before he's out again. But with Stacy Keibler and Mickey James, I think Mickey James, the issue is it's kind of too soon for that. I know they got Trish and Lita out of the way, but they stopped wrestling in that 07-08 window. And I think there's a couple people after that point they could put in eventually, but I think they just want to knock out these Attitude Era, early Ruthless Aggression era first before we get into the older eras. Just mainly because there's not many people you could induct in before 1990 to this point. So I have no problem with Jacqueline, Stacy Keibler, and Mickey James at some point. Yeah, I think Stacy Keibler over Mickey just for the point of those vagina lips.
I'd like to see that in the video package.
Isn't Mickey James still active?
I think she probably wrestles at some indie. I know she was in TNA for a while. I don't know if she's still there.
She is. Says
She's probably making another country music album or some stupid shit.
Global Force.
She is.
That's what it says.
Okay.
She's making a country album.
With Jeff Jarrett. So,
and she's only 36 too, so I think she's got a few years before she gets in there.
Yeah,
before she stops being hot.
What do you guys think about China?
No, I think Triple H said it best when, especially since she's still trying to do.
That's so petty.
It really is.
That is so petty. Okay, any of these people, almost any wrestler, you can dig up some dirt. I mean, there's been people with far worse issues that have gone into that Hall of Fame than China.
Jake Roberts and Scott Hall just recently went in.
Oh, jeez.
Sonny is still in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, you can Google China's name and come up with some bad shit. You can do that with everybody else.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Shawn Michaels has some pictures out there.
Mm-hmm.
And not just leaked photos. I mean professional photos.
But that's not him taking in his ass or anything of that nature.
No, he was a step away from that.
That is a good point, but I think at the same time, China's such a fucking wreck that I don't think there's a possible way you could get her just to be normal for 2 months to induct her. I think that's part of the issue as well. I just think that there will never be an instance where she'll be fine with WWE and will be cool to the point for them to just induct her.
I think she'll eventually go in, unless this is something where Stephanie doesn't want her in. If it's some actual bitter fuck her, no, she's got the pull. She can make sure that she never does. But 10 years from now, maybe they'll just kind of settle down and they'll just kind of be like, all right, you can go in.
And you had mentioned Ivory before. I think it's a shame that she's not in there yet. She was very important, and I think she's got to be in there soon. I think, because I remember
what's that important. When was she important?
She was definitely leading the division for a while.
She was?
She was one of the few that spent more time focusing on her wrestling stuff.
Yeah,
so I think that they would focus on that a little bit.
Yeah, but she was the wrestling chick in a time where it was all about blonde hair and big tits.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. I mean, she was more the technician.
So she didn't matter. She was the least relevant person there. Even Jackie was more relevant than her because she at least had the big tits. Ivory, she was weird. It even went to a point where it's okay, well, let's just completely cover her up and have her join the uptight group.
That's more character than a lot of some of the other women.
Oh, sure, that was fun and all, but I wouldn't call her important. She was just another face of a division that was cool at the time.
I'd rather see somebody who's good in the ring compared to just somebody who's hot, I guess. So I think that skill in the ring should be rewarded more over hotness.
So again, you'd pull this is the WWE Hall of Fame.
You'd pull Ivory over a Tori.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about Victoria?
Hey. See, Victoria's just in that same boat. I love Victoria, but she's in that exact same boat. She's just another face from that era.
but she got some tits.
See, the oldest name that I could think of when it came to the women is Bull Nakano. And it's stretching it a little bit, but I could see her going in eventually.
Oh, totally, she should go in.
Did you say
Bull Nakano should go in. Bertha Faye should go in, and I'll top you on the old names. Mildred Burke.
Good points.
Tony, what was the first name you said?
Bull Nakano?
Bull Nakano.
She could go in if you admit that she is a bull.
Oh, she was totally one of the bulls.
Yeah,
Oh, good. Okay.
that was
She
on
could
the
go in.
list.
Yeah.
Let's see. We actually didn't talk about The Godfather or the Fabulous Freebirds yet.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
I have really nothing to say about the Freebirds all that much because I never really followed that era of wrestling. I never really cared all that much about the territory days and stuff. So I will admit I'm fully, outside of that world or whatever. But it makes sense.
Far beyond deserved. Like that's all that needs to be said. It's far beyond deserved.
Yeah.
They were such an immensely important part, and I'm not using this word loosely. This is serious. They were important to that Texas area there. Like them and the Von Erichs, the way they fought each other was an enormous feud that spanned like the better part of a decade, and just brought in thousands upon thousands of fans and created merch. And they pretty much invented the modern entrance that we have where wrestlers come out to music and dancing and playing to the crowd and everything.
They invented the Freebird rule.
They invented the Freebird, yeah. So, I mean, their influence is felt far more today than I think most people will realize, but they're also kind of old fogies at this point.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about Godfather? Really?
If he comes
Man,
out with...
I will put this guy, I think, deserves to be the new joke inductee over Coco Beware.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
See, I totally disagree with that. I think that he's certainly not somebody who's like, 15-time world champion type of person or like that, but his character was so over.
Yeah, everybody was over. If Coco Beware was in that area, I guarantee you Frankie would have had like Mercury after him.
He would have had a whole flock.
Yeah.
Hopefully, with the Godfather, he has a bunch of hoes come out with him. Every hoe who
Dallas's
walked out with
finest.
him- No. Every hoe who walked out with him over the years, they're gonna go in the Hall of Fame with him.
Specifically,
Well,
that one that won the hardcore title.
There you go.
Yes.
Victoria can go in. Big Show's wife can go in. I think
That's
she was one
something
of the hosts, right?
that Coco Beware and Godfather had in common. They both came out with some birds. Am I right?
Well, should we talk about the Fit Bird rule?
So you know how with the Hall of Fame induction, they usually end up having one or two of the divas kind of accompany them to the ring? Should they have him come out with two of them, and then he says like that, like, hold on a second, and runs to the back and has two more, and hold on a second, runs to the back and gets two more?
I'm
Like
expecting
he does that twice, and the third time he doesn't even bother going back. He just like waves his hand, and like 10 of them walk out.
Right.
Like, that's the only way you could do the Godfather.
He doesn't even need to do a speech at that point. He
think
could
he's
just be
Kinda,
like,
demeaning
thanks,
to
everybody.
Have it be the divas though. Shouldn't it just be like some random hotties
Oh yeah.
that's true.
that he brought with him? Honestly, I don't think they're going to play up the Godfather gimmick too much.
Do you think it's going to be more Charles Wright?
It's mostly going to be him speaking like in a straight shooting manner, and he'll probably make like a couple references, but you're not going to hear him say "light a fatty" for this pimp daddy. Maybe he'll say "ho train" once.
Hopefully, it comes out in the Papa Shango stuff.
It'd be so great if it's like, and now to introduce you to the next inductee of the Hall of Fame. Okay, well, here is the Godfather. Then you just hear Papa Shango, Papa Shango. He's just like, fuck that, Papa Shango's going in, motherfuckers. I hope there's a reference to Papa Shango. And I hope that they cut to Wade Barrett when they say it, too. Just to get him to be, like, all giddy about it, since he loves that joke. But I'd like to see something in the video package where they talk about the whole Kama Mustafa thing, the Supreme Fighting Machine, all that stuff, too. So, I'm digging the Godfather induction. Some other names I wanted to bring up here for people that should go into the Hall of Fame in the future in some fashion, one way or another. We were talking a little bit earlier about the celebrity wing. I'm surprised Muhammad Ali hasn't gone in yet. I'm surprised that they haven't bothered with William Shatner. And a lot of people say no for this one. David Arquette. Just do it. Dude was a world heavyweight champion. You gotta do it,
I mean,
Yeah,
if
the
you're gonna
time's right
defend
there.
Ivory, Kalen, then why the fuck aren't you defending David Arquette?
David Arquette was a fucking joke.
More
Yes,
importantly,
apparently Ivory
listen,
was
no, no,
too.
no, no. Listen, more importantly than he was the world heavyweight champion, he also starred in a wrestling movie.
Oh my god, Kalen isn't like this. Jeez. Your old geezer skin is showing here.
Never
Kalen.
been a fan of him, and I thought it was ridiculous that he ever held the title.
Can we put in Jimmy the King too?
Oh, dude, I've been waiting for someone to say that. Jimmy the King is legendary. It's a damn shame that they haven't done that yet. Who played Jimmy the King?
I don't know.
Fuck if I know.
There's
Oh,
fucking
dude, that guy's
Jimmy
probably
the King, that's
dead.
who. I actually pictured that was some like indie gimmick guy they just picked up and had him do the part.
I mean, really, you could put half the people in that movie in the Hall of Fame. And yeah,
It's
half
a
of them
group
are.
induction.
I mean,
Yeah.
Sting was in that movie. Goldberg will be in someday. Booker
D-
T is in the Hall of Fame.
DDP.
DDP is in the Hall of Fame. Oh no, he's not. He should be though.
he will be eventually, but
He'll be in there soon.
Maybe next
You-
year. He's from Florida, right?
Hmm.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he's
You know
from
who
New
else is
Jersey,
from
isn't he?
Florida?
Sable.
No. Brutus Beefcake.
Really?
Yeah.
Is Hulk Hogan?
I mean, fuck, that's where
from-
Hogan lives. So he
Yeah.
lives right outside of his asshole. So it's got to be.
You know, when we're talking about the celebrities, though, you mentioned Muhammad Ali and William Shatner.
Mhm.
Muhammad Ali is one of the most charismatic men of all time. People will say that. I don't know what he's been doing lately.
Does he hate WWE?
I feel like he does, and I feel like even if he wasn't in a bad mood and didn't hate WWE, I feel like the price tag would kind of be like Floyd Mayweather and would be ridiculous to get him in.
Isn't that whole like Tremors thing he has right now?
Tremors? I'm not even
Movie?
sure. What Muhammad Ali hasn't been relevant in a while, but that's just because he really doesn't try to be in the public eye anymore.
Well, exactly, because he has uncontrollable tremors.
He probably does.
Uncontrollable.
I really don't know about that, but he does. He might. But with Shatner, let him do the
I
price
did not
line
know about
stuff.
this. This is like a major story in sports because of the concussions he's gotten.
I don't.
Maybe
think
that's why they don't want to bring it out there. They don't want to talk about the concussion stuff. He
maybe.
is somebody that should go in at some point, though. If they wait and they do it as a posthumous induction, Muhammad Ali should go in eventually.
No, you can't do Muhammad Ali as a posthumous. Just for the, he's one of the most,
Post-hominous.
I know he is one of the most charismatic people or athletes of all time. He could just tear anyone up on the mic, even in like real life. Just imagine a Hall of Fame induction in WWE for it. He's got to
except
be alive for
He has
this.
uncontrollable tremors, and he will not be able to do a charismatic speech.
I know.
He'll be
Even
like,
just-
"Thank
Even
you,
him at 50%
WWE."
is still better than Roman Reigns half the time. Okay, so I have no problem with putting him in like that. Who would accept it for him if he was dead? Someone
Layla.
from his family?
Yeah, his
It-
daughter, who's also a famous boxer.
Yeah, it'd have to be
Easy fucking
Layla.
answer.
Is that her name?
Layla Ali, yeah.
Yeah, and
see, with her-
that's another one that kind of has to have Hogan part of the mix, I think.
But see, even with her daughter, she was only relevant for like a year, and then she got her ass kicked.
More relevant than Paul Bearer's kids.
I don't know. I think when Connor's dad did it, I think that was kind of
I mean,
weird.
She got famous in the public eye enough for that, and then she also hosted American Gladiators
Yeah.
when it had its reboot.
Speaking
Oh, yeah, I
of something
forgot
that
that.
Drew just brought up, though, they haven't said anything about the Warrior Award yet, have they?
I think they gave up on that. I think they realized that was a stupid idea to say that they were going to do that every year.
I'm assuming if they're not giving up on it, that they're going to give it to that Drax Shadow kid.
Maybe.
That's the only one I remember them giving any attention to.
So
over
we're just going
this
to give it
year.
to a dead kid every year?
Well, I don't think that kid died.
Can we just call it the Fallen Angels Award? And if they,
Jesus.
if they do that, it's better than the Warrior Award. I mean, you're calling a kid an angel. I think the public eye wouldn't hate it quite as much. I think in most incidents, it's like, oh, they act like they care.
Well, when it comes down to next year's class of the Hall of Fame, just throw out a couple ideas here. What would you like to see be
Brutus
some of the
Beefcake.
group?
Well,
I was going to start off with you, Peyton. I figured Brutus Beefcake was one of them. Who
Yo,
else?
All right, I'm redacting Superstar Scores Big Show. And I am now campaigning for Superstar Scores Brutus Beefcake.
Are you writing it down in the background?
What's with all the B's? It's always a B name.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Buck
Yeah, we get it from-
Bagwell, Steve Blackman, now
Bob Holly.
Oh, shit.
Daniel Bryan. God damn.
Big Show. Like, it's just, everything's just a B name. We're
Bob
going to end up
Backlund?
getting Coco Beware, and we're going to end up getting, I don't know.
Did you do
Big
Bob
Meat.
Backlund?
There you go, Bob Backlund. Who else besides Brutus Beefcake would you like to see go in next year, Peyton?
Bobo Brazil.
Inducted by Bo Down.
Wait, I think Bobo Brazil's actually in the Hall of Fame already.
He might be.
I feel like he is.
Oh yeah, he's the third person that they inducted. Andre the Giant, Arnold Skalen, and
So, I
Bobo
mean, if they're
Brazil.
going to Florida, there's a lot of people from Florida. Especially if you go into, like, that Florida Championship Wrestling territory.
If you really wanted to, if The Rock doesn't want to wrestle anymore, you could easily do him. Granted, it's not Miami; it's in
yeah.
Orlando. You could easily be the headliner. We talked about women, Sables from Jacksonville, I believe. That could be a possibility.
It all comes together.
Yeah, there's two of them right there.
That's two huge possibilities.
Mhm.
The Rock and Sable.
And Brutus Beefcake. Yeah.
But Bobo
I
Brutus
wouldn't be-
Beefcake.
You really want this? I wouldn't be so high on The Rock quite yet. I bet they'll wait until they're in Miami again, because that will happen eventually. But if
I
in
feel like
some,
that's a long chance.
you think what if him inducting him in Miami?
Well, I just think of them going back to Florida again just to go to Miami just to induct The Rock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that might not be a priority, but the next time that they're like, oh yeah, hey, we're gonna be in Miami, it will be the perfect time to do them. I don't think they really think about the Hall of Fame in most cases when they're choosing a place. I'm just saying that the next time they're in Miami, they could be like, oh yeah, now we
Well,
can put the
I
Rock
think it's
in.
time for The Rock to go in anyway.
Mhm.
Really?
I mean, Stone Cold's gone in. Shawn Michaels has gone in.
What?
Mm.
Well, the Rock still
Undertaker will be in
wrestles
soon.
on occasion.
Foley's been in. I don't know if he's got many matches left in him. Maybe one more.
Maybe at most I think he's got 3 matches, but I don't even think that's the case.
But
And
even
he
if
can
he's
wrestle
inducted, I mean,
in the
that
Hall of
doesn't-
Fame.
Yeah, exactly. Even if he's inducted, that doesn't stop him from doing a match or two in the
That is
future.
true.
Hell, that might even help that out. They could be like, say if it's like Roman Reigns versus The Rock, and it's like Roman Reigns is going to fight WWE Hall of Famer The Rock.
Just imagine next year they still try to shove Roman Reigns as a face, and he faces the Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
The Rock.
And then they're like, I don't get it. Why are people booing this guy? It's like-
I mean, shit, if you really wanted to, Roman Reigns could go in the Hall of Fame next year as well. He's from Pensacola. You really want to shove it down people's throat. Guy's only been in the company for 5 years. He's already a Hall of Famer.
I gotta admit, part of me thinks that's kind of funny. They should do it
That would be funny.
just to get the fucking reaction from the crowd. Kaylin, anybody stand out to you as people that should really go in next year?
Well, like we were saying, The Rock. I mean, that makes a lot of sense since they're going to be in Florida. As far as the connection geographically, I can't think of too many people you haven't already named. Jim Johnston definitely needs to go in before too long. What is the deal with keeping that guy out of there?
I think they're just waiting for him to be completely out of the shadows and for the CFO money guy to officially be their main guy.
I'm starting to think that they don't want to put him in there.
They'll be dumb if they don't.
He should get the Warrior Award. Damn it.
Hey, it's supposed to be for the backstage guys. Maybe
That's what I'm
they're sending
saying.
it
That was
for.
the intent, right?
You know what
Right,
I'm
yeah.
saying?
I'm saying.
All right, guys. Well, tell us what you think about this year's class of the Hall of Fame and anything else you want to mention about the people in the past and the people in the future that you'd like to see be inducted or whatever the case may be. Drop those comments below, and we're going to continue on in the next part 5, where we talk about our own Hall of Fame, the Smark Out Moment 2016 Hall of Fame. Stay tuned.
Beefcake! Beefcake!